Welcome to the Suffering Podcast. Each week we walk you through how suffering is the way to sustainable success and the path to greatness. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many more. Visit thesufferingpodcast.com for complete details. Please subscribe and like to get our latest episodes as soon as they drop. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn for exclusive content. Please comment. We may read your comments on future shows or even reach out to you for a future guest appearance. Let's embrace how suffering forges bonds that last forever, showing we are never alone. So get ready, sit down, and strap in.
Sit your ass down. Sit your ass down. Let's talk about the suffering. It's time to start the pain. Sit your ass down. Sit your ass down and strap in. This is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. Let's talk about the suffering. It's time to start the pain. This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Dented Development Project is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to assist first responders and their families repair dents caused by suffering. Help us support the ones who take care of us selflessly. Dented things can still operate, but may not be as pretty as they once were. Make a difference and go to denteddevelopmentproject.com to get involved today. Our heroes need our help. All new Suffering Podcast gear is here. The show depends heavily on our supporters to get the word out. Let people know that suffering is a team sport and no one is alone in their struggles. Wearing the Suffering Podcast merchandise accomplishes that goal. Check out our store at thesufferingpodcast.com or check our show notes for the link. Your support and love means everything to us. What is the cost of doing your job? Are you missing out on things at home? Is it damaging a relationship? Is it killing your social life? Is it sucking the enjoyment out of everything? What price are you willing to pay to say that you did your job? These things and more should be on everybody's mental analysis sheet to fully understand and quantify whether the price of doing their job is worth it. Sometimes the cost is much too high to pay. Sometimes we get a bargain. Sometimes we make a bad investment. Many of us feel that we have no choice but to do our jobs. There is very little thought into what the consequences are for being successful. And welcome back for part 2 of the Suffering of Sworn Duty with Elvin Hernandez. Thanks for coming back in this week.
I know it had to be a long drive up here for it again this week, but I really appreciate it.
Jesus Christ.
We kind of did something really fucked up last episode. We left at the worst possible time. Don't think it wasn't on purpose, everybody. Okay, it was done very purposely. When we had left last time, you are in the room, and this gentleman, Elvin Diaz, is an emotionally disturbed person.
Yeah.
You have an officer, I believe you said, on your left side.
On my left side.
Sergeant Molina's in front of you.
He's in front of me. On the right, he's not in front of me. He's to my right, in front of Elvin.
Now, Elvin's on the other side with a meat cleaver, probably the most physically intimidating piece of cutlery you can possibly get. Although it's probably the worst thing to ever do. I mean, you're better off with a knife. You can't fucking stab with it, but it looks mean.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, it's fucking mean. I mean, the thing is, I've seen that shit so many times. I mean, my dad whips that shit out. He starts cutting the fucking meat in the store. I'm like, God damn, that shit. Yeah, that shit is intimidating. You know what I mean?
It is intimidating, but as far as a combat weapon, it's not a very good combat weapon.
I would think so.
Yeah,
I would think
now,
so.
The officer to your left, what was his name?
Nino Gallerini.
He's not Dominican then, right?
He's definitely not Dominican. Gallerini?
Just wanted to put that out
there. That's
Italian.
Nino Gallerini.
Yeah.
I think that screams.
Screams
funny.
Italian.
He's great too, man. He's funny as shit, man. He's hilarious. Good dude.
Elvin's got, not you,
Not
you're the emotionally disturbed person, actually had the cleaver up. He's pacing back and forth. You could see this situation is going south. Everybody's screaming in the background.
And he's not compliant at all.
He's not compliant. He's zero compliance. Zero compliance.
And you're in a 15-foot room.
15 feet. He was 15 feet away from me.
So pick us up from when Elvin Diaz has that meat cleaver up.
And his mother and brother are also there at this point.
Screaming.
Yeah, so
screaming.
basically, just to take you back there, Nino was on my left. He like, when I had my weapon up, right? My shoulder kept going back and forth because they're trying to push Nino out of the fucking way. I mean, obviously, you can see why, right? Anybody would want to do that.
Yeah, they know death is imminent.
And you know what I mean? Like, they're screaming, everybody's screaming. Elvin's pacing back and forth. Nino, I tell Nino, call SWAT, call SWAT. As he was miking up, you hear me in the microphone, call SWAT, call SWAT. As soon as I say that, Elvin takes a step forward. He takes a step forward, shots are fired. Sergeant Molina discharges his weapon. I discharge my weapon. It happened so fucking fast. Like, I can't explain to you how fast it happened.
How many rounds did you discharge?
Well, I discharged one round.
Okay.
Sergeant Molina, I believed, discharged 9.
So in the police world, forgive everybody listening a little bit of window into, we are taught to shoot center mass until the threat stops.
That is correct.
So while you fired 1 and Sergeant Molina fired 9, your perception of the situation is different. He may have felt that he needed to do that to stop, where you needed 1 to stop.
Sergeant Molina was closer also.
And not just that, I was just about to say Sergeant Molina was a lot closer. And just to paint a even more detailed, when you have I had a Glock, right? A Glock 23, okay? First
40 caliber, correct?
Exactly, 40 cal. First, I'm not that good with the pounds. You know how many pounds the first trigger pull is?
It's 4 pounds pressure.
Something like that. After that, that's it.
It's a sneeze.
Yeah. Exactly. So when he was shooting at Elvin, those 9 rounds was like literally 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Pop, 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 done. So people, like, this is not the fucking movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me make that very fucking clear. This is not the fucking movies.
Their magazine held 13?
Yes, 13.
Yeah,
13.
Yeah. So
13 and 1 in the
yeah,
back.
so, and the thing is that, he didn't go down until the last shot.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, absolutely.
people need to understand, that's what I'm trying to paint this picture, is that it happened literally in seconds. Like, seconds.
How many hits?
Honestly, I'm not sure how many. I believe he had 7 or 8, something in that range. I'm not 100%. Like, this is all like, after the fact you read.
Yeah,
You don't know at the time.
They don't give you that information.
Exactly. So the rounds go off. It hits Elvin. When the rounds stop, Elvin drops. When Elvin drops, he drops with the meat cleaver. So when he dropped and he had the meat cleaver, and like
He fell on top of it?
exactly, he fell on top of it, but it wasn't facing him. It was to the side. So he still had the weapon on him. Right. So that's when everybody came. All the other officers, right? There was like 2 or 3 other officers that had, one guy was on a detail down the street. A detail is, when PC&G is out there, just for the folks out there, and you see the yellow, vest, that's a detail. So basically one guy came, then there's another couple of guys came, and I holster my weapon, okay? I get on top of him, and I'm fighting for his fucking arm as blood is everywhere.
You still got strength going.
So he's still alive.
So he's still alive. Like, I'm trying to, and this is all after the fact. I didn't know that when something like that happens, they grip harder. Like, like it's like.
Oh, he was dead already. So was he dead?
No,
or
he wasn't.
He was alive.
He was still alive at the time. What I'm saying is, like, this is what they were telling me after the fact, that like that he had gripped it, I guess, and even harder when he was getting shot, and when he fell over, he still had that grip. I mean, I was fighting for his arm. You know what I mean? I'm fighting for his arm. There was Sergeant Molina was trying to fight with the other guy was trying to fight for the other arm. Like, it was insane. There was blood everywhere. I was slipping on the blood. You know what I mean? It was hard for me to get a good grip. I finally get his arm out.
If anybody wants to know what it's like walking on blood, go on a tile floor and spread KY jelly on the floor.
Crazy.
or some like Astroglide, some sort of sex lube or something.
I was just about to say, what kind of freaky shit is this?
Yeah, well, no, that's what
He usually brings up anal lube, but you know.
No, that's Crudell. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
To walk on that stuff because the viscosity of the blood, and it's not easy to keep your footing. And
No.
like I wore chukkas. My chukkas didn't have much grip on the bottom.
No. At the time, I start with the chuck because it looks good, right?
Yeah,
With
it
the
does
uniform,
look nice.
boom, it looked banging, right?
Yeah.
I did. I mean,
Nice
you got
shine
that,
on him.
Nice shine on him. You know
He
what
only
I mean?
had 2 years on a job,
Yeah.
so he didn't
Oh,
go to
man.
the chocolate shine, you know.
No, I didn't, man. I was only 2 years old. I was when I was older, man. My things was gleaming, man. I looked like I had bling everywhere, right? Because you want to look good, right?
Nice,
You know what I mean?
that crease, no railroad
Yeah,
tracks
no,
in your
nothing,
pants.
man.
Still,
Nothing, man.
still in shape, you know.
Yeah,
You ain't fall down
crispy.
that rut yet.
Yeah, I was crispy as a motherfucker, man.
Yeah, but see, I never lost that. I never. I
You don't
lost other
lose.
things. No,
Yeah.
I didn't lose that because I was taught. That's the way I was taught. It's a presentation thing. But
Command presence.
But we're going up. We
Yeah,
got
yeah,
way off track here. But just to give everybody an idea of what it feels like to walk on top of blood. It's so slippery. You can't keep your footing. I'm assuming it was probably linoleum, right? Or with tile or something.
Honestly, I don't really remember, man.
Definitely wasn't rug.
No,
otherwise
it was definitely some type of tile.
Yeah.
It was like some older tile. You know what I mean? But basically, at the time the military baits. So those, even though they have grip, it's still like it's
still rough.
yeah, exactly, still rough. So I'm like slipping, trying to get his arm. I finally get his arm out. The other officer, I don't know who got his other arm out, but somebody else got his other arm out, and I cuff him.
Is he saying anything?
Nothing.
Yeah.
So I cuff him. After you cuff him, obviously the first thing you do is you as in training, you put him on his back and you try to sit him up, but obviously that's not happening. He's been shot multiple times. We put him on his back, and then boom, the ambulance came.
Wow.
So the ambulance was right there. So the ambulance comes, right? The ambulance is working on him, right? I'm like, fuck. I'm fucking everything. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I told him to drop the fucking meat cleaver. You know what I mean? Like, I was really upset. You know what I mean? Because it didn't have to go that way. You know? It didn't have to go that way.
Believe me, I know the feeling.
You know, it didn't have to go that way. And I know you guys know the feeling. You know what I mean? So, I walk out of the room and I get so upset, I put a hole in the wall. Right? I punched through the wall. I didn't even know. It was some sheetrock. I'm not the Incredible Hulk. It was some type of sheetrock. It wasn't even that strong. So, I didn't punch a brick wall or anything. But I put a hole in the wall. And his brother looks at me. And he says, "Bro, you killed my brother."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
So when he says that,
And
I
that's
remember those
and that's
words.
someone you
That's
know.
Yeah, like I know, like I said, like I wasn't like super close to him, but I knew him, and he's such a good kid. You know what I mean? He was a good kid. You know what I mean? He was always respectful, like just a really good kid. So when he said that, I'm like, I told him, and I said, I told him to drop it, man. He didn't want to fucking drop it. And then that's when like the officer started pulling me away. Yo,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Out.
Like let's go. We gotta go outside. So I'm going downstairs. The mother's screaming on her knees. I walk downstairs. I kind of, I passed her. She's screaming on her knees.
When he said that to you, Elvin's brother, did he say it? Was it an angry thing? Was he angry,
honestly,
or just was it matter of fact?
But
Disbelief?
you know what it is, man? I still have his face pictured in my mind. Like,
Now, do you hold anything against him for saying that to you?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I do not hold it against him. You know what I mean? Listen, man, that's his brother, no matter how he was. You know what I mean? I have a sister, I got family. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants to. No, I didn't want to do it. Nobody wanted to see that. So absolutely not. I don't hold that against him. He had that's his brother. You know what I mean? Who am I to tell him that, right? So, but he looked at me, and it was just like this. Like it was like, bro, you killed my brother. Like you shot my brother. Like it wasn't like a matter. He was just like, I guess he was in shock.
Like you said, like shock or disbelief.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Like you were thinking, what the fuck just happened? I'm sure he was thinking, what the fuck
crazy,
just happened?
man.
They watched it all, right? They watched it.
They watched it all.
Yeah, they watched
But
it
the thing is, this is the thing. They didn't see what happened because. So let me explain to you. So when I had my left arm on the doorway, blocking the doorway, while Nino was on my left arm, right? There's a wall. So basically they didn't see what Elvin was doing. They only saw what we did.
Oh.
You understand what I'm saying? So they didn't see that he took that step, that he was that close to Sergeant Molina. They didn't see none of that.
And no body cams back then.
Exactly. We didn't have body cams. You know what I mean? But she didn't see that. So so basically, I go downstairs, I pass her. I just felt my heart racing. Man, like it was just unbelievable.
Blood pressure through the roof.
Yeah, blood pressure through the roof. Yeah. So, I go downstairs and the ambulance is there and not everybody's there, right? All the white shirts. Shirts starts coming. You know what I mean? So, all the white shirts are there, which is for the listeners out there, those are like the lieutenants and the captains. So they're there. And I go by the ambulance and the first thing they do is take my weapon, right? So you shot your weapon. That's the first thing they do. They take your weapon. So they took my weapon, and
for men, it's very emasculating.
Emasculating.
Exactly. Yeah, for me it was.
Yeah, I mean,
it was.
At the time I didn't even have time to think about it. Right? Like this wasn't like the next day, 2 days later. Well, they take it, right?
For the way I thought about it, I guess it's like, but I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah,
exactly.
I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you taking it away from me? I didn't do anything wrong.
That's a great aspect that you just said right now, which is pretty amazing. Like you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I never thought about it like that.
But that now puts you in the mindset that you did something wrong.
Right.
Yes.
And that was the start of like my downward spiral.
100%.
Because they took my whole uniform. They brought civilian clothes up for me and stripped me right down, right in our command post.
That's crazy. They did that at the camp. They did that obviously at the hospital for me, which I'll get into. So they put me and Sergeant Molina on the bus, right?
The ambulance.
The ambulance. I'm sorry, we call it a bus.
That's fine. It's fine.
That's common lingo.
I've been in civilian life for so long now. I translate.
Yeah. So they take us to the hospital to get us to make sure that they're checking us out, and seeing if we're okay. Obviously,
you just went through a stressful event. They should be.
Yes, exactly. So they take us to the hospital, and I'll never forget this. I get into the hospital, and I look back where the doorway is, where the emergency room doorway is in Hackensack Hospital. I look back, and I just see them rushing him in, no shirt on, with the oxygen tank on his mouth, pumping his chest, blood everywhere. It's the last time I saw him. So, in my mind, I'm like, yo, I hope he makes it. You know what I mean? It's crazy though, right?
Yeah.
But like in my mind, I'm like, I hope he makes it. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants to see nobody die, no matter what the instance is. You know what I mean? What happened? So
especially if you have part of it.
100%.
Yep.
So they put me in a room. I don't say nothing to nobody. My mouth is shut. Like I'm not talking to nobody. So I'm in the room. All these emotions and thoughts, and I'm playing the incident in my head. Then I'm thinking about like what the fuck just happened. Then I'm thinking about my
I was going to say the other thing is you got a pregnant.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
That was going through my mind too.
My wife at the time is pregnant. She's like about
That's
6 months
crazy.
pregnant. That's my woman, man. She's my best friend. I love her to death. Daniela. So, I'm thinking about her. I'm like, I want to tell her that I'm okay. You know what I mean? I don't want nobody calling her. So an officer came. He had said like, listen, let me get your wife's number. You know what I mean? So I can give her a call. I'm gonna go grab her. I'm like, yo, I need you to bring my wife right now. Bring my fucking wife right now. Those are my exact. I'm like, you need to bring my wife right now. So he gave her a call, and he brought her to the hospital. I told him to make sure you tell her that don't freak her out. Like she has the baby. I don't want nothing to happen to her. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As he was going to get her, I'm in the room by myself. My lieutenant at the time, he came into the room checking up on me, and they give you like a pill. I don't know if you guys, but basically they give you something.
It's probably an anti-anxiety pill.
Yeah, something that, and then after that, you obviously can't speak about anything. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, they usually they do it for a reason.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's a reason behind it.
Yeah, there's a reason. They give you this pill because it's usually like a Klonopin or a Xanax or something, because after they give you that pill, they can't force you, because your department, for all the good and all the bad, there are some people that really don't care about how you're feeling. They just want the story, and you need time.
Yes.
Like, you need time to process this stuff. And if they give you that pill, then all of a sudden, whatever comes out of your mouth next doesn't matter because it's under the influence of anti-anxiety.
Yes. And fast forward, my wife comes and, she's in tears. So she's in tears, and like, that breaks my heart because she said they didn't tell me anything. They just picked me up. Like, are you okay? And then like, as soon as I give her a hug, right, you start bawling, crying like a baby, right? Because like,
I didn't.
I did. You know what I mean?
No, I'm only kidding you. Yeah. Trust me, I'm only kidding you.
Yeah. No. But like, it's, she's been there, you know what I mean, through thick and thin. And, she's the one person that I've always been like, I don't know how you say the word, but basically like a vulnerable way, right? Mm-hmm. Your woman, right? So, obviously like I was really upset, you know what I mean, with what just happened. And I told her, I said, I'm fine, don't worry, So about, I would say 5 minutes later, 6 minutes later, less than 10 minutes, my lieutenant comes in and he goes, Elvin, I just want to tell you something. Is it okay if your wife's here? I was like, absolutely. Say anything from my wife. He said, Elvin didn't make it, which is Elvin Diaz. So he said he didn't make it. And it's crazy. Nobody really knows this. I was like, fuck. There was I don't know why this is crazy, but there was a priest there, right? The priest had came. I guess they had called the priest. I don't know why, but there was a priest there or some type of chaplain there. And I said, I told him, I said, Father, because I'm so I'm not so religious. I'm saying because I have that religious background, right? I said, let's say a prayer for him. That's what happened, man.
And that's the start of it.
That's the start of it. Yeah, that's not even, man.
What you just went through isn't the worst
No.
of what happens during a shooting.
No.
So this happened on the 21st of May.
2015.
What was the day? And was it your first day of the shift, last day of the shift?
It was. I
know you switched.
I switched. So it was the first day of my shift. So as soon as it happened, I'm pretty sure you're about to go into this, but they put me on administrative leave.
Right. Which, in the back of your mind, although it sucks what just happened, you're like, cool, I got some time to be alone with my thoughts. I have a nice little mini vacation. It's not a vacation, but some time off. And that's the way I thought of it. Was it similar for you?
Honestly, I definitely needed some time, right?
Mm-hmm. Process,
decompress.
Process everything, decompress, like, all these things. But at the same time, like, I was so fucking broke. I don't know if people know this, but like when you first get onto the job, like I came from an 80, 90, which is not a lot, but like, I was making pretty good money where I was at.
Starting at what, 35?
At 35,
40? Yeah.
Fighting for details.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? You're fighting for those overtimes and everything. So my current wife was pregnant with our first child. I had a son with a previous relationship.
Latin people are some fertile people, man.
He brought that DR stuff over here,
Yeah. So like, I actually got divorced on about a month before that, right? And on April Fool's. It was April Fool's.
I thought you were
so I was like, oh man, this is exactly the day that I should get fucking divorced. A joke. You get what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it real. It was a fucking joke. You know what I mean? So anyways.
Well, I guess it's better than May 21st.
Yeah, 100% better than May 21st. So, that was a whole process financially. You get what I'm saying? Then, I just feel I still feel, because I couldn't control it, but I still felt guilty for my wife, man, because like she was 22, 23 years old, man. This girl was young, man. Like I wanted her to have a beautiful experience. She already had gone through bullshit already, like a few months before that, with the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like I wanted for her, you know what I mean, to have a good experience, and then now this shit happens, right? And then all these emotions are like you can't control them, And
you feel useless. You feel you feel like you let everybody down.
Exactly. And then I'm broke. So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, yo, I cool. Like, I need to take this time off. But I didn't even want to process it because I knew if I did, I knew I was going to be fucked up. So I'm like, I need to get back on the job.
When did you notice things weren't right?
When did I? So
as soon as you punched the hole in the wall.
So this is when I knew things weren't right. About a week or two later, or maybe the same week. Because
did they give you a critical incident debriefing?
That happened, a debriefing, meaning like when you speak to the prosecutor's office?
No. For critical incident stress management.
I don't.
CISM team, they would call them.
Well, I don't think, no, they didn't, but basically one of my reps from our union, the lawyer had told me, sat down with me and told me like what the process was going to look like.
Yeah.
Right. But that's just the beginning, right?
Right.
So
well, no, the departments, they're not required, but in order to combat any long-term after effects, within 48 hours after a critical incident, they should provide you with a CISM team, a critical incident stress management team.
Well, yes, I wasn't provided that, but at the time, we had a new director, Mike Mordaga, and honestly, he was always supportive, man. Like he
was always a cop's cop.
Yeah. Like he came out right away. He goes, my guy. He even said my name and Sergeant Malik. He said, my guys didn't do anything wrong. He said it right to the paper. You know what I mean? That's why I always respected him for that. Like he got right in front of it. He's like, my guys didn't do nothing wrong. This is what happened. You know what I'm saying? My officers appropriately, they acted appropriately and within their command. You know what I mean? So basically, he got in front of it right away. He was always really supportive. So I got nothing negative to say about that. I didn't have a debriefing, but obviously later on you have to speak to the prosecutor's office.
Yeah, that's investigation stuff. Yeah. I'm more worried about your mental health.
Yeah, my mental at the time. Yeah, it was. So I'm gonna tell you the reason why I hate talking about this, but I gotta say it. You know what I mean? So this is when I knew I was fucked up. It must have been the first week or maybe the second week. I don't know. I woke up and I guess I was having a nightmare. My hand I was choking my wife without knowing. Okay, so I guess I had a nightmare and she was sleeping next to me and I guess I grabbed her and I was holding her and I was like sleeping so I didn't know and she was like hitting my hand. This is what she was telling me because I didn't know. I caught the end of it like when I got my hand off. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, what just happened? You know what I mean? She goes, Elvin, you were choking me. Like, what happened? You were having a dream. I said, I guess. I mean, I don't know what the fuck. I must have had a crazy dream. Obviously, I'm not choking you for no reason. Like, and she's like, no, it's okay. And, she was really supportive. And she was like, don't worry about it. Like, she gave me a hug. And, yeah, it was fucked up.
It's crazy the feelings you go through, isn't it?
Mike's going to want to sleep right next to you, by the way.
Yeah.
I slept in my basement after because the nightmares,
That's what we talk about this. Mike and I both did that where we just separated ourselves because, number one, it was like I was wet in the bed. Yeah. I just sweat so much that the bed was so cold.
I was just about to say that. I was sweating. I was super hot.
I grabbed my dick to see if it was wet, to see if I pissed myself. That's how wet it is.
No, I was.
Smell. You just got it.
No, I tasted it.
I need to drink more water. But so you removed. Did you end up having to remove yourself from the bed because you didn't want that to happen?
Yes, I did remove myself to the bed, and but my wife, my wife is an amazing person. She's like, come back to bed and just hold me. You know what I mean? And I held her. You know what I mean? And I was scared, so I didn't sleep. Yeah. Right? Because, she has the baby. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want nothing bad to happen. But, like, she's, that's why I love her so much because she was just thinking about my health at the time. She didn't want me to be alone or feel alone. And think about it. She's 22 years old. Like, what 22-year-old would have, like, the capability of doing that mentally? You get what I'm saying? That's why I give her so much credit. You know what I mean? Because I was a fucking asshole right after that.
Which
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're not the same person. You'll never be the same person.
She tells me all the time. She goes, after that date, there is no Elvin. Like, there wasn't like, because I'm a goofy motherfucker, man. Let me tell you, man. Anybody in the department, like, if you ask about me, I'm just goofy as a motherfucker. Like, I love joking. I love having a good time. You know what I mean? Right. Like,
That's what the job was.
Person. Yeah, man, that's what it was.
The job was having fun. Yes, we did some great work.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
when you had to work, you worked. But when there was fun time,
it was
fun.
Like, obviously, nobody wants to do a 7 car accident, right? Right? You're like, fuck, I'm going to be here for like 3 days, right? But
I was one of those people that actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed that. But
you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I was. That was.
So you were fucked up before.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. So
We're just kidding. We're just kidding, pension board. We're just kidding.
He's got a flair for the obvious, Elvin.
Yeah. No, that was the one thing. Yes, that's what separated me from everything because I did enjoy it.
You did enjoy it. Okay.
Well, you know why? Because those long accents keep you from going to the other jobs. You know, he didn't have to go to the domestic.
But the funny thing
was, you go to domestic? No, I'm doing the accident report.
No,
okay, Kev, we got more. No,
here's how it fucked me up. Is
still on the scene.
After my shooting, I didn't want to do any more accidents.
Yeah, man. But you know, it was after that. Then it was just like I would be good for a few days, and then I would have another nightmare. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they were like,
and like you said it before, you're almost afraid to fall asleep.
Yeah,
you're so tired, you're afraid to fall asleep because you don't want that nightmare again.
100%. And it was always a dream of me fighting for my life. Like I had one crazy dream that I was in a war. You know what I mean?
But you're always losing. You're always behind the 8 ball.
Like I was always like people were dying all over.
After my shooting, it was, you know, we spoke about that where you're in a situation, you pull out your gun, you pull the trigger, and like the flag comes out that says bang. Did you see the cartoons?
You know how many misfire
Yeah.
dreams I've had? You know, nightmares.
Yeah, 100%.
Or I can't find my gun.
Yeah, or no? How about the you know, a dream that you're about to pull your gun and you can't squeeze the trigger.
Yeah.
and then you die.
It's like you're paralyzed.
You get what I'm saying? No, it's crazy. It's like I so many dreams of me being paralyzed, like I couldn't move in a dream.
How were you coping at the time? Were you drinking? Were they medicate? Did they medicate you?
I'm gonna tell you this right now. I have an addictive personality to some things, and I know that if I start using it for the wrong reasons, like I'm a social drinker. I'm not a big drinker, right? But like I knew that if I used that alcohol for that specific reason, it would bring me to a dark spiral, right? So honestly, I didn't take any medication. The only coping mechanism I had was the gym. The gym probably saved my fucking life. You know, honestly, it really did. That was the only. I would be there for a few hours.
You're fortunate that you didn't lose the will and the motivation to do that, because I did.
Yes, I heard your story, but it makes a lot of sense on why you did. You know, based on your situation. You know, like you said, like everybody deals with it a certain way. But for me, it's like I knew if I didn't do this, that I would have done something stupid.
That's what I said. I was going to the gym 3 times a day.
Yeah.
You know,
and when I heard you,
at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I'm like, this guy's crazy, man.
Mike also chronically masturbated.
Yeah, that too. Left 1 million kids in napkins around the bathroom.
100%.
We all have our own little ways of dealing with it. I know some people who get involved in cannabis, and there's the alcohol. And none of it is good. But all it is, the gym was your escape. That's all you're trying to do is escape your own head.
That's all it is. Like I just, you know, I would put like, you know, some music on or whatever, and I would just go at it, you know. And the thing is that I took it so far, like I wanted to feel pain. So when I was there, like I would literally do reps until I couldn't feel my fucking arm anymore, because I just wanted to feel something. Because at the time I didn't feel anything, and I didn't know why. You get what I'm saying? And I don't know how to explain that. Like I didn't feel anything. Like. You know, and
you feel no emotion.
You feel no emotion, nothing. And then
it's like you're inside a cloud.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
You know,
that's what it feels like.
You walk around and like it's hard to explain. You don't know what to think. You don't know what to do. You don't know what people are thinking.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then you would have episodes like I swear to God, like I'd be eating and I'd just start crying. And my wife was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And I'm just like, "Yo, I just feel like fucked up."
How far did it go?
I didn't have a chance to go down that far because 2 months later I was back on the job.
Whoa.
Yeah. So basically,
they cleared you.
Fitness for duty. And your psych eval.
So I knew, this is the thing, right? Like this was my dream. Like I just couldn't give it up. I just couldn't at the time. You know what I mean?
2 months though.
Yeah, 2 months. Yeah. Like I just couldn't give it up. I'm like, nah, I fought for this for too long. You know what I mean? Wow. For too fucking long. And 2 months later, you know, it's crazy. I'm thinking about this, and bits and pieces are coming back because what you do is you compartmentalize this shit in the back of your mind because you don't want to think about it. Yeah. Right? I have a family to feed. You know?
Store it away.
Yeah, you store it away. You know, you don't have time to be a victim. You got shit to do. Right? After the incident, 2 days later, I called the department. I was like, I want my fucking gun back. Get me my fucking gun back. Because now I got people, right? Because he was affiliated with some type of Bloods gang, right? In my mind, I'm like, well, they know where I live. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's no secret where I live. A few days later, the incident, my mom's calling me saying like, there's people outside taking pictures, and then some flake. Let's put it a professional way. Some flaky people taking pictures and skeeting and skeeting off in their cars, like leaving like marks in the, like, you know, because I guess like my mom would come out, or like, you know, or like the next door neighbor will come out and they didn't know who it was, so they skip. You know what I mean? So I'm like, nah, I'm like, I want my fucking gun. You know what I mean? So, you know,
it's just paranoia until you're proven right.
Exactly. Yeah. Then I'm calling. I'm like, I want cars out there. Right. I want 2 cars out there. I want something out there. Right. You know what I mean? And they were very supportive. You know what I mean? Like at the time, they're like, you know, like they put cars out there, and you know, I know who they were. So like, you know, I would text them like, yo, everything cool. You know what I mean?
Doesn't even have to be a manned car.
No.
Put a car out front and then leave it.
You know, because the thing is, I was living in Lodi at the time. I guess the Hackensack Police Department called Lodi and just said, you know, just keep a watch. You know what I mean?
So was Hackensack too suburban for you? You had to go to Lodi?
Yeah, you know, I don't know how that worked. You know what I mean? Honestly, I mean,
you went from a congested city to an even more congested city.
Yeah. I know, it's crazy, right? I lived in a really nice street, like, you know, like a quiet street, you know. Yeah. But like I would see, like when obviously I couldn't sleep at the time that well, so I would get up a lot and I would see like the, you know, the police lights, you know, those big flashing lights, like, you know, going through I see the shadows. You know what I mean? So like it was, you know, at least.
Was there paranoia setting in?
Oh my God, paranoia.
Yeah.
I'm like, take me to the range, because that's what you have to do. You have to qualify again at the incident. So I qualified, and people would like how were you able to? Did people like? I never got into. Only a couple of people know the details of what we're talking about right now. So they would say like, how'd you? I'm like, I didn't think about it. You know what I mean? It was like, yo, I got to protect my family. You know what I mean? I can't protect my family without my pistol on me in case somebody tries to do something stupid.
You have to protect the primary.
Exactly, 100%. You know what I mean? And that's what I was thinking. I was thinking about my own family. I just started being really paranoid. Like, what if I'm walking down the street and they're following me? You know, what if I'm driving and they're following me? So I started like, I'm very, you know, right? Cops are very predictable. That's right. Regimented. Right?
Too.
So I took the same streets all the time, right? You know, I went to the gym at the same time. I started switching up the times.
Taking different routes.
Different routes.
Yep.
I would be taking different routes to work.
Looking in your rearview mirror.
Looking in my rearview mirror. I was just super paranoid, man.
Well, here's a question for you, and I'm not even sure if you can answer it. Looking back from where you are now, I mean, we're talking almost 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Pretty close to it. Go back, look at yourself 7 years ago. Do you think you were ready to have your weapon back?
100% absolutely not. 100% absolutely not. And the reason why I say that is because I mean, somebody could have touched me on my shoulder and I probably would have blew his brains out.
After my shooting, there was a gentleman, he was a Passaic cop. His name was Jose Irizarry, because I owe a lot to him. That's why I'm mentioning his name. He mentioned something to me. He saw what I was going through, and he says, if you go back to work, here's a couple things that's going to happen to you. Because you're hypervigilant now, you're going to get more and more aggressive, and you're going to start tuning people up. So it's either you're going to go to jail, lose your job, or get arrested, or even worse, get killed. And that's what he told me, going back. And this is a guy with 3 incidents under his belt, 3 shooting incidents, where he had guns to his head he was doing undercover work, gun was put to his head, trigger was pulled, and it was a misfire. He was 100% correct. And I did have my off-duty weapon after my shooting. It didn't end up so good for me, because it ended up in my mouth. And that was my fear. When you said you're getting your gun back, I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah. No, it really was. I didn't have an off-duty. Like, I wasn't I'm gonna just keep it real. Like, I wasn't the guy that took my gun everywhere, even when I was off-duty. Like, I didn't need it before. Why do I need to carry it? You know what I mean? It's more of a liability to me. You get what I'm saying? Right. Like, it really is, you know, because what if I get into a tussle with somebody and he takes my gun?
I had an off-duty gun when I first started, because that was a cool thing to do, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
First year.
No, but listen.
I sold it, and I never got another one.
There was a lot of guys that did, you know what I mean? That they couldn't wait to get multiple guns. They were into guns and stuff like that. But like, I never really needed a gun. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like to me, like I didn't need an off duty, but I did get my weapon back. And, you know, I had to take a mandatory 8 weeks. So no matter what, I had to take 8 weeks, and then I had to see a psychologist. and get
the fitness for duty test.
Fitness for duty test.
Yeah.
So I went through
Oakland
and the So I went and the Wonderlick test and
all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Wonderlick.
Yeah, exactly.
I told the guy you can Wonderlick my balls with this test.
And they're telling me it's funny though because they're telling me, are you like? And I'm over here lying my fucking ass off. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready.
It's amazing because we see this with people we reach out to who are involved in shootings now. Like, oh, I'm fine. Don't worry. No, I'm fine. You're fucking lying. You're fucking lying. And hey, listen, if you want to lie to yourself, but don't fucking lie to me. Mm-hmm. If you tell me the truth, we'll get you there where you want to be.
I had a guy that was in an incident not too long ago, and he wound up reaching out to me. Or I wound up reaching out to him, got in touch with him, and I said, "How you doing?" He goes, "I'm good. I'm ready. I'm ready to go back. I think I'm doing good."
Same thing you're saying.
Yeah, same thing. That's exactly what I said.
A couple months later, I saw him. He pulled me aside. He said, "Mike, can I talk to you?" He goes, "I went through a real dark time." I said, "I fucking told you. You were fucking lying."
Yeah.
He goes,
That's what we do, though, as men. We lie because we don't want to let nobody.
You don't want to show weakness.
And you don't want to show weakness. Yep. And that's the thing. Like, in my department, you got some veterans there that have been through some shit. And they're like, you're going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to be all right. I'm a young cop, man. Yeah. Right? And there's some guys that went back after some fucked up shit. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, so I'm good. You know what I mean? I'll be all right,
There was a lot of guys in Hackensack that are involved in shootings.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So, like,
Mike Mordaga for one of them.
Exactly. Mike Mordaga.
Tony Ferriola.
Alex Ferenzi. Joe Iobi.
Yep. Back in the day, Alan Borntrigger, my FTO. The legend, Billy Aglima. You know what I mean? He was
Billy and Cleveland.
But for real though, like, you see these guys and you be like, I'm not like, I never compared myself to anybody. I just saw him and be like, all right, cool. Like, I think I could be all right then. You know what I mean? Like, right. So
I still can't believe they brought you back to work after 2 months.
Yeah.
Part of it was your fault because I get it. I understand you have your family to take care of.
100%.
What was it like getting back to work?
You got to ride with somebody in the beginning. So I had to ride with somebody and, basically, you just want to make sure that you're doing everything you're supposed to do so that person that's reporting back is not saying that you weren't ready. So I just made sure that I did all the calls correctly and like I didn't get into anything crazy. There was this one incident that caused me to go back out. So I was back for 2 months, and then in November, I was back out again because I went to a domestic. So basically, there was these two neighbors at the YMCA, the old YMCA. They closed it down now, but there were some sketchy people that lived upstairs, like a lot of sex offenders. How weird is that, right? But anyways, the gentleman was fighting with another gentleman across the hall. We went to across the hall. The guy comes out with a knife. So he comes out with a knife, and he's like, "Hello, officers. What's the problem?" I'm like, I start going for my weapon, and I had another officer with me. He starts going for it. I'm like, put it down. I'm like, put the knife down. He goes, what? I'm like, put the fucking knife down. He puts the knife down. He goes, what? I was cutting oranges. Boom.
Yeah.
What if I take out my gun, I shoot this motherfucker, he lives, right? And he tells, well, I was just cutting oranges.
Just went back to what Kevin said before.
What do you think they're going to pay me? Trigger happy.
In trouble?
Yeah.
You're either going to get indicted, you're going to die, or you're going to lose your job.
Yeah, so, trigger happy. That's the first thing I thought. You know what I mean?
That's the hypervigilance.
Exactly.
You always amp it up. Jose would tell me when he went back after his first incident, he was starting to jack people up.
Yeah.
And then the second one was even worse.
And that's what started happening. I was jacking people up. You know what I mean? My sergeant at the time, Sergeant Tripodi, great dude. He was always very understanding of a lot of things. But, I went to calls with him and somebody would, call him, some name. I'm like, who the fuck you talking to like that? I grab him up and fuck it. And Sergeant was like, yo, chill. You know what I mean? Like, so like I was always on the go. You know what I mean? So I just said, you know what? Like, I think. And at the time, the officer that was with me, right? He was like, yo, Elvin, you good? I'm like, yo, I'm good. But inside, I wasn't. Yeah. So right away,
they knew too.
They knew. So I went straight to the lieutenant at the time, the commanding officer for patrol. I said, listen, I was like, I need to go out. I need some time. So, I gave him my weapon. I went out.
That's a pretty big thing for you to actually volunteer your weapon.
I was just going to say that's the difference between the initial incident and the ending.
Yeah.
The last incident. They took your gun. You were pissed. Now you just gave.
Now I'm giving it right.
Did you ever have that, Mike, where you volunteered your weapon in, or did they never give it back to you?
No, they just never gave it back.
Because with my off duty, there was a time where I would have never voluntarily given up because that was like my home protection.
No, 100%, you're home.
And then you were the same way. It's your home protection thing, your service weapon, and you didn't have an off duty, right? Because that would be interesting because you and I are the same here. Where at some point there's something that clicked. You're like, I really shouldn't have this.
Exactly. So I go back out. Those first couple of weeks, those first couple of months, it was rough, man. Like, I was a raging fucking asshole. You know what I mean? My daughter was born in September, so I was still working. I went back in July, so I was working when my daughter was born. Like, I had to keep it. So I had no choice but to keep it together.
Yeah.
Even though I couldn't. You get what I'm saying? That's why it was so tough. So, I had a brand new baby. I was just just a complete fucking mess. Like a raging fucking asshole to my wife. Like, I don't even know why the fuck she's still with me. You get what I'm saying? Like, honestly, like I look at her, I'm like, babe, like, thank you. Because I was a fucking, like, I would like literally take her phone and fucking break it and then go buy a new one.
Oh, wow.
Okay? So,
I'm starting to get, listen, there's some triggers coming up for me because same fucking thing.
Yeah.
I'm going through a divorce.
Like she was
talk about
no, and not just that. Like, my son's mother wasn't. She was giving us hell all the time. You get what I'm saying? So like,
that's
it's
the added
everything.
Stress that just
everything. Everything was boiling, man, and I was just a fucking angry person. You know what I mean? And then they made me see a psychologist. Not just that, like they set me up with this person that had no idea what. Like, no offense, like she was good and everything. She tried her best. Right? She was a child psychologist.
Was it Dr. G?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I forgot her. Honestly, I forgot her name.
Okay.
But she was very supportive. It wasn't her fault. You know what I mean? She works for them. You know what I mean? But
they don't know.
But they don't know. She works for workers' comp. She doesn't know.
Henceforth, what we said before, you should have came to group
yes,
with us.
I should have. And I'm telling you. So I had to see her, all this other stuff. And how fucked up I was, I wanted to go back.
Did you ever make it back?
Yes, I did.
Again.
I went back again. So April, just finished baptizing my daughter. I already told the lady what I got to do to get back. And she goes, you're going to have to do a lot. So basically, I did everything she told me to do. Lied my fucking ass off. Because I just couldn't let it go, man. Like, I just couldn't. Like, I worked too fucking hard to let this shit go. So I ignored all my feelings. I ignored everything. And I went back. So I did everything she asked me to do. I got cleared. I went back May 1st of 2016. Okay? So I go back May to January. I was just keeping it together by a fucking thread. By a thread.
Doing what you got to do to get by.
Doing what I do to get by. And how fucked up I was, my first day back, I'm riding with somebody. We get a call by the EDP.
Oh, damn.
First fucking day back, we get a call by EDP. Right? We get there, we tussling with the guy. A few minutes later, we tussling with him, fighting him. Later did we know he was on bath salts. So this guy was 120 pounds. I am pounding him because he's fighting us. I am pounding him. He's laughing at me. No offense, like I'm not a small dude. Okay, like I literally was pounding him. All the officer, he's bigger than me. Pounding him. He was laughing at us.
No kidding.
Smile on his face, 120 pounds. It took 4 of us to get his arm out and put him under arrest. So, when I used to hear stories in the academy, I'm like, oh, come on, 120 pounds. Then that shit came right to my face.
Real.
Boom. So that was my first day back. I was so fucked up. I would go home, but I just had to be like, only my wife would see the bad side, which was bad, right?
So now that was in May.
That was in May.
And then you said you worked until January.
And then I by a fucking thread, about 2 weeks before, I decided to hang it up. About 2 weeks before, I was driving and I went into a daze of the incident. Like a daze.
Flashback.
A flashback.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I was on post 9. I was coming off of a friend that I grew up with street. Like it was a street that I used to hang out with a lot, and I'm coming off of the street, and I went into a daze, and I didn't know there was a person coming, and I basically T-boned her.
Really?
Yeah. So her car flips around a few times. She's hysterical. I'm literally shaking. I'm like, "Are you okay, ma'am? I apologize, whatever." Everybody comes, all the department comes. They take me to the hospital. I was fine. I just had a sore neck or whatever. And I knew then that something was wrong. Like I didn't know if I was gonna last. That was like my eye-opening incident. What if that was a baby that I hit? Like, and then all these things coming up in my mind, like, what if I hit like what was a carriage? You know what I mean? Like, I was in a daze. Like, what if I'm fighting with somebody, right?
Well, that was the moment you realized that you're not only not so much a danger to yourself, but now you're becoming a danger to other people.
Exactly.
Because of this incident.
Exactly.
And your career is in danger now.
Exactly, yeah, because at the same, I started thinking about all these things, like, what if I get into another incident with another guy in bath salts, and what if I don't pull the trigger and he kills my partner? What if I do pull the trigger and I pull it too fast? He doesn't have nothing on him. Then I'm arrested. Then I'm indicted, right? I mean,
all too often.
So, and at the same time, I was the case was still going on, so I wasn't free and clear yet. Like, the grand jury was still out. So while I was working,
I can't believe they let you back to work with the grand jury still in.
Honestly, man, like,
or let you be on the road at least.
So basically, fast forward to January. I got one of my reps, Joy. He's no longer with the department, but I got one of my reps, and I said, "Listen, man, I need to go back out. I don't know if I could do this anymore. It's just too much. Too much pain, too much stress, too much anxiety, too much everything.
And
too
you
much
got
everything.
3 years in the system.
And too much danger.
Too much danger.
Like you said, for yourself, for a suspect, and for your partner.
Yeah. So I went into he was the captain in charge at the time. Actually, it was Captain Aquila. Captain Basilio was there because we called a meeting, and I broke down, and I was like, I'm sorry, guys, but I need to go back out. I don't know if I could do this right now. So I broke down because, like, I just felt like I lost. Like, I felt like I just felt like I failed.
We've all been there.
When you think that you're unable to do what you believed you were meant to do, it's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, because I felt weak. Yeah. You know what I mean? I really did felt weak because I'm like, the guy's going to think I'm weak and stuff like that. Like, and that was just the opposite. A lot of the guys didn't think I was weak. You know what I mean? A lot of guys thought, I had the balls to come back. You know what I mean? Twice. But really, but I didn't look at it like that.
The big thing is you had the balls to finally admit that you couldn't do it.
That I couldn't do it. And that was the hardest part. You know what I mean? And
I definitely didn't have the balls to come back. I couldn't crawl out of a bottle long enough to come back.
No, but like I said, you guys had time in already. You get what I'm saying?
No, I do get it. I do.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I didn't have that time in, and this was my dream. This wasn't like a thing that I woke up one day and say, like, let's keep it real. A lot of people do that. Oh, like, nothing's working out. Let me take the test. Right? This was something that my whole life I wanted to do. Like, I was so proud of it, right? You know what I mean? Like, I wanted my kids to be proud of me, like when they grew up and they saw me. And that's what I kept thinking about. That's why I went back, because I was like, nah, I want to see my kids. Like, I want them to know that I didn't fail. You know what I mean? So
you make that decision to retire, and I know that's a very, very difficult decision. How long was the retirement process for you?
It was 8 months. It was the longest 8 months of my life.
Because you can't work.
You can't work.
Yeah. And you're home all the time.
You're home all day, and you already know.
Yeah.
The problem started right when I went back out of work. The problem started at home.
Right. Oh, yeah.
The problem started, and it got worse and worse every month.
Because the busy bee has no time for sorrow, but when you're home, the idle hands do the devil's work.
Exactly.
And parents probably tell you.
And let me tell you, my wife, she is a strong-willed person.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? She's not somebody to fuck with. So if I got out of line, she made sure to tell me I was out of line in a very nice phrase.
Now did you get your pension?
So I did get my pension. I got my pension in October. And like I said, I was scared to death because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what I was going to do or anything like that. But I did get my pension.
So the funny thing is your life often changes in a second. We said that in the beginning. You climbed this mountain. And I'm just trying to, like, quantify your life right now from what you just told me. So you climbed that mountain to become a police officer. You reached the top of that mountain. And then your life changed in an instant. So what are you looking at now? You're looking at the base of the next mountain.
Yeah.
So how did you start climbing that mountain and finally starting to come out of this funk that you were in?
Well, it was a very, very high and a very, very low because a month before I got my pension, my wife left me.
Oh.
So my wife left me, and she had every right to leave me. I was a fucking asshole. I was doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing, and she had every right to leave me. So she left my ass. So I had nothing at the time. Yeah, so the pension was nothing to me because I didn't have my family. So I was literally, that's when I was in the deepest, darkest hole that you can fucking imagine because I had nobody. Nobody. And the one person, like literally, she left me, and I had to move out, and she had to move out, and I had to clear everything out of the house, and and I got this pension. Doesn't mean shit to me at the time because I don't have my family.
But did she eventually come back to you? Because you speak very kindly to her about her. I'm like,
yes.
Wow, I never heard anybody say that about their ex before.
No, because a year later
he doesn't want her to leave him again.
Yeah. No, but a year, fast forward a year, we did, work things out. But that whole year, was very hard for me. The only person that was there for me that I allowed to be, honestly, when I look back at it, but honestly, the only person that was there for me, like, I was always the person that was there for everybody else. And then when shit happened, nobody's calling me. Nobody's texting me. Nobody. And not that it's not that I'm like, oh yeah, text me. It's just like me personally, if I knew you, if you're my cousin, you're my brother, or like you're my friend or something like that, I'm reaching out to you, man. I don't give a fuck. I'm showing up to your fucking house. You know what I mean?
Do you know how many people reach out to me from my department? 0. Not all their fault. Some of it's my fault.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Some of it was my fault.
You know some people did try to reach out, and I just didn't know what to say to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So I never called them back.
Yeah. So exactly, that's what happened. But there's a handful of guys, man, that really reached out. They still reach out at times. Great people. But there was a few people that I didn't have a place to go. And I'm just gonna shout them out because they were there for me. Jason Klosk. He's a sergeant in the Hackensack Police Department. I had nowhere to go, and he didn't hesitate. He didn't fucking hesitate. He goes, you can stay at my house.
That's somebody who's been there. That's why.
Yeah, no, it's not that, man. I owe him so much. Him and my cousin Chris. Like, I had nowhere to go, bro. Like, I get emotional because I have fucking nothing. You know what I mean? And and Jason and my cousin Chris. He's the Port Authority cop. He's like, bro, you can live with me.
So if you talk about the Blue Brotherhood. The Blue Brotherhood is not so much while you're working, they cover each other's back. That's not what it's about. The Blue Brotherhood is when you see another officer in need, that's when you want them to step in. That's when
you step up.
They didn't know, and at the time, like, a lot of people didn't know, like, what was going on personally with me, but I had to tell Jason because he was a good friend of mine. And obviously my cousin knew. And I remember, like, the first day, like, I'll never forget this shit, man. The first day I moved into my cousin's house, my cousin Chris was there in the living room. And I fucking hugged him, man. And I cried, bro. Right on his shoulders. I cried. Like, fucked up, man. He held me. And he was like, yo, bro, you're going to get out of this shit.
So how did you end up coming out?
So every day, at the time, I was on Quantanapin, too. Quantanapin was... Quantanapin, I don't know.
Is it an antidepressant?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I never heard of that.
It basically, it's used because the Xanax, you have to keep upping the dose. With this one, you don't.
Oh, Quantanapin's an anti-anxiety or an antidepressant?
I think all three.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was on that, and I was like a zombie. But I just decided one morning to flush that shit down the toilet. You know what I mean? And I went through the withdrawals of it because I couldn't sleep. And I just toughened the fuck up. And honestly, I just looked at myself every day and I said, you know what? I'm not going to be a victim to this. My cousin gave me his house, you know what I mean? So I can get my shit together. So I'm going to get my shit together. So every day, I would reach out to my wife and, obviously she wasn't too happy with me, but every day I was on her, you know what I mean? Taking care of the kids and trying to do the best that I can. And, at my lowest moments, even when she left me, she was the only one there for me. She left me and was the only one there for me. How fucked up is that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
With Jason, Jason, Chris, and her, they were the only people that were really there for me.
If you look at it on the surface, she left you at your lowest point, and I'm sure she knows that. She probably knows this. The look of it is very bad. It's like
No, I deserved it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but she had no choice.
She had no choice.
She had to step out of the way so you could either make it through
or not,
or crash.
Yeah. So she took that chance, and every day, every day we would bullshit because we have dark, sarcasm. Me and my wife, we're fucked up. So, I always say, I always tell her, I'm glad you fucking left my ass. Because if she didn't leave me, I would have never been able to get out of that hole. Because I needed to be alone. That's the thing. I didn't know that at the time, but I needed to be alone so I could figure out how I'm going to get myself out of this hole. Because I'm not going to be a victim. I got kids that depend on me. That's it. Once you have kids, that's it. It's not about you anymore. You get what I'm saying?
Since you've gone through all this stuff, have you been able to reach out to anybody or still kind of kept it inside?
Honestly, I still keep it inside. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm going to give you a suggestion here, my friend.
Yeah.
I think it's time for you to release that and use what you learned to pass it on. Because now, people who were there for you, such as your wife, who were there for you, supporting you, they don't want payback.
No,
they
don't.
want you to pay it forward.
100%.
Right?
That's why I'm here. When you reached out, Mike, honestly, I was very hesitant because I don't want to, I'm not the type of person to reach out to people.
Your story's done. Your story's written.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But somebody else is still being written, and you might be able to change the direction.
That's what I'm saying.
So, Elvin, we're coming to the end of this thing here, and I ask all the guests the same question: is you've gone through this shooting, the after effects have really been rough. What do you think all this suffering's taught you?
Honestly, it's taught me that you're a lot stronger than what you think. There's something on the other side of suffering. You know what I mean? There's a life after suffering. There's happiness. There's good times. There's bad times. But once you learn to accept that there's gonna be bad times, that's when you start to live. It's like
Prairie fire.
No, for real. Real talk. That's when I started to listen. I'm not perfect. I still struggle, man. I still struggle.
We all do.
Yeah, I still have days that I don't want to go to work, and but I put this armor on.
Well, if you armor. So you're just re-quoting all the stuff I said.
Episode 9.
Yeah. If you told me you were cured, that means you fooled the pension system, and I wouldn't have you in the studio if I 100%. Thought you were a fraud.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the truth.
I'm not a fraud, so yeah.
No, I know you're not a fraud.
But now you said you haven't reached out to anybody.
Nah.
You have 2 guys sitting in this room that you have their number. You can reach out anytime you want.
100%. I think I might take your invite on the
absolutely
on the
you don't
group. The circle jerk.
Yeah. We'll get Crudell up here for that one.
Trust me. Yeah, well,
he'll go first.
he'll use his hands to take care of us. Yeah. But trust me when I tell you don't want to hang out anywhere near us because we're fucked up, bro.
No, I know.
There's some fucked up shit going on around here.
Yeah.
No, you're welcome. And we have this group of people that we consider family, we consider friends, and we lean on each other from time to time because even though we're through, we're not. We're still climbing. No,
100%. And I hope that whoever's listening to this out there, or whoever is suffering, whether it be a traumatic situation or anything that happened in their life, just know that, there's something on the other side. You just got to go through that dark phase, but just know that, there's something on the other side.
So, Elvin, thank you so much for coming in today. Really appreciate it. It's an incredibly interesting, dark, enlightening story because you made it through. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
And you are a solid person. You really are.
Man. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys having me. Just thank you. Because honestly, I'm hoping that this helps somebody. That's the reason why I came. Honestly,
so I think it will.
Somebody. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast, the suffering of sworn duty. And let's think about all the stuff that we learned today. Traumatic situations are a reality check for your personality. Don't let any job assault you. Just because you say you're ready doesn't mean you are, but most importantly, you're stronger than you think because there's something on the other side. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of Sworn Duty with Elvin Hernandez. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and now on YouTube. Find Mike on Instagram at dented_ace. Find me at Realkevindonaldson. If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Suffering Podcast.